We're back here. We're talking about the NFC South. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that notification button. Let's jump into the Bucs here real quick. They were the divisional winners here. They were
and knocked off the Eagles.
Yeah, well, they were a team that honestly going into the season, I didn't have a lot of high hopes for. In fact, a lot of people had, including yourself, had Mike Evans as a bust. I actually was higher on Evans than you were, and I actually didn't agree with you because I just thought that the volume was going to be there, and it was. That being said, big notable changes to this offense here is you're going to see, well, one, they lost their offensive coordinator. So that may impact or may not impact. The personnel is pretty much the same, but you get McMillan from Washington they drafted, so a good third wide receiver here, which we like. And they also brought in Bucky Irving, a solid running back here as well, who I think should help establish this run as with I'm drawing a blank on who's the starter there. Rashad White. So let's start talking about.
Up, baby.
Yeah, we'll quick drop in Baker Mayfield. This guy is a great floor quarterback. If you punt the position, he's one of the couple quarterbacks that him, Stafford, Goff. These guys are going to have some bigger weeks, and they're going to have a higher floor than some other people like Derek Carr, who we just talked about.
Yeah. And then I think Baker is a guy that, like you said, if you punt the position completely, he's a guy that I wouldn't mind drafting. He's a great number 2.
Yes.
Like, he's a guy that if you go and draft Josh Allen or Mahomes or Lamar, don't be afraid to go and grab Baker with the second. Like, if you don't go higher and you wanted to really get value in between, he's a guy that you can get late.
I'm not even doing that in redraft. Like, yes, you can get him late, but if I'm drafting one of those top quarterbacks, I'm fading the position the rest of the way. Like, I know it's a risky thing to do.
That's a very risky thing to do.
But I'm taking Baker if I take one of the rookies because of the value of the rookies is so inflated.
Well, that's where I think that he's a great backup quarterback no matter who you get. You go and fade the position and get Jared Goff later. Go and grab Baker as your second.
Get Rodgers and Baker.
If you get a rookie, grab Baker as your second. If you go and grab one of the top end guys, Baker is your second. I think Baker is a really good. He's serviceable in games. It's depending on the matchup. Again, you look at these guys that are serviceable later, and you look at the weapons around them, and like you have Mike Evans who can have a 3-touchdown game because he's a freak of nature.
You have Chris Godwin who's moving back to the slot,
and you have McMillan on the other side, who I think is going to take a huge step. He's going to be a huge piece of that puzzle this year.
Mm-hmm.
Great addition to the wide receiver core there. The downside is this team is kind of based around that big play, running the football, and playing defense.
It's winning ball games.
And so do I have a huge upside for Baker? No. But he's very serviceable in that kind of in the backup role.
Yeah, well, look at what happened to the quarterback rooms last year. So many injuries. I think there are 8 to 10 injuries at the starting quarterback position that people had to start Baker last year, and people won weeks because Baker was able to give you 25, 26 points in the quarterback position.
Well, and that's the thing too. Is like even if you draft one of those guys higher up, it's a safety net, right? And he's a good safety net.
Yeah.
Like, do you want to be in a position where you're starting Jacoby Brissett?
No, I'd rather like to me the floor of Baker is so high that you have to think about, like, do I want him as my starter? Like, there's a chance he could start for you if you went so heavy on running back and wide receiver. Do you want to be in that position? No. But he's the point where people started him last year, and he was a solid option for you.
People started Jake Browning last year.
Yeah, in the hopes for some of those weeks to hit. I mean, I'm going to take a quick little.
Well, I mean, I'm taking him over Bryce Young. Like, I'm gonna start him over. I'm starting him over Derek Carr.
I mean, he was QB 10 last year.
Yeah,
and we talked about the injuries that were last year, but he was QB 10. The guy threw for 560 attempts last year for over 4,000 yards and 28 touchdowns. He was a better quarterback than Derek Carr.
Yeah,
he was a better quarterback than 20 other quarterbacks on the back end.
Yeah,
22 other quarterbacks. So yes, he was more than serviceable last year because of injuries. At the same time, if he can go out there again with a third better wide receiver, so they increase the value of that wide receiver room. They get another running back there. They hopefully get the offensive line a little bit better. He should be better. He should throw for 4,300 yards. He should throw for 28 to 29 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And now you're talking about a guy who's definitely going to finish in the top 10. That's the upside for him, but I'm not drafting him for upside. I'm drafting him for his floor, period.
Yeah.
So moving on to the running backs, Rachaad White. Guy was a volume monster last year, terrible yards per carry, and it was the same as the year before with Lenny. But to me, what you're getting here is a guy that can do it on all facets of the offense. He was a great pass catcher last year. They do bring Bucky Irving in, smaller guy. He could take over some pass catching roles, which could be interesting. He could take some goal line work here and there. Do I expect it to be like Austin Eckler and Melvin Gordon-esque type situation? No, I don't. I think Rachaad White has the stranglehold on this running back room, and I'm still trying to target him because the value has not been inflated from last year, and I don't know why.
Yeah, and that's it. But there are other guys that value's been deflated that I like over him.
Yeah, and I'm on the same page too.
He's going around the fourth or fifth round, right? So do you like him there, or do you like James Conner? Do you like him there, or do you like Ramondre?
Well,
Aaron Jones, James Cook.
You got to take a look at the offensive whole as a whole. I like James Cook. They bring in Ray Davis into Buffalo, so it's a similar situation. But you have a team that's probably going to score more points than Tampa Bay, at least on the ground, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And you look at James Conner, and I think the Cardinals could score less points overall than the Buccaneers. But I also think James Conner is a better running back than Rachaad White.
So if I'm in a position where I'm drafting wide receiver 1, 2, 3, like Rachaad White's a guy I'm absolutely targeting in the 4, 5, 6 range because I'm going to load up on running backs there, and I'm not afraid to go and get Rachaad White, James Cook, Ramondre Stevenson, James Conner, like get knocking three of those guys. I'd be happy with that.
Yeah,
and I'd be happy with any one of these guys. Again, he's part of that grouping of running backs that have guaranteed touches built into them.
Yeah.
And I don't care who they are, you're going to want a piece of that, which is why I still like Kamara, which is why I still like Rachaad White. I don't care what their efficiency is as much. They're guaranteed volume.
So he had 270 carries last year. Terrible yards per carry too, as well. It was like in the high threes.
So did he have 30 receptions? Because he's a 300 touch guy.
He had 64 receptions. So he's over 300 touch. Like he's a 350 touch almost guy.
Right.
As an opportunity, which is great. Now Bucky Irving eats into that. It stinks, but you got to hope that his yards per rush go up. His yards per reception were great. It's not like he had a ton of receiving touchdowns. I think he only had 3. But when you look at across the board, the touches that he has is going to be similar to the touches of James Conner. It's going to be similar to the touches of like Najee Harris and Jalen Warren and some of these other guys. In fact, like he's going to rush more than Jalen Warren, more like Najee Harris. So do you like that offense? And if you're in a situation, like you said, if you're at the end of like the 5th, 6th round, 4th through 6th round, and you can do a swing around and take Conner and White, you could take Najee and White, or like those are great, especially if you faded the running back early on and you went heavy wide receiver. You get yourself 2 guys that are guaranteed touches.
Right, and that's what you're looking for. Like, so am I saying overdraft Rachaad White because I absolutely love him? No, but he's a guy I absolutely am not mad at. If I have to hit the button, there's a lot of times where I've been like looking at my number, like my 4th running back or my 3rd running back. Like 2 drafts ago, we were drafting, and I went back-to-back running backs in the 1st and 2nd round. Then I went 2 wide receivers, and in the 5th round, Rachaad White was sitting there. I'm like, I'm really tempted to hit this button here and get my 3rd running back, Rachaad White. But that's where if I have him as my option for a 3rd running back, I don't love him as much. I'd rather wait and get like Ramondre or wait and get like.
Yeah, I think Ramondre's going to touch the ball more than he does. Because that offense.
I'm not even worried about touches, but like in terms of like team composition, almost. I
don't know. Like it's not that I'm fading Ramondre, but I'm starting to fade him in favor of some of these other guys. Because here's the one thing I'll say about.
I'm just saying when I don't want to get into the Ramondre versus Rachaad White debate and value on those guys yet. But what I'm saying is if I have 2 running backs already and I'm drafting Rachaad White as my 3rd running back in the 5th round.
No, I agree with you.
I'd probably hold off and wait to get another wide receiver.
Well, there's going to be a wide receiver there that's going to give you good value. Or quarterback. Yeah, I agree. I'm with you on that.
Fifth round value. So but if I'm already loaded up at those positions, if I already have 3 wide receivers, or if I have my quarterback already,
or only one running back from the first round,
Rachaad White's an absolutely like a monster pick there at the 5th round for me because it's a guaranteed volume guy.
Like if you watched the mock draft we did earlier, I was at the 10th spot. I took Saquon early, and I kind of faded that running back spot till the Aaron Jones pick. I think it was that I did. Or no, maybe I didn't take Aaron Jones. I took somebody else and then took Aaron Jones. But I went running back, quarterback, wide receiver, and then I was sitting looking for another running back. That's somewhere where I could take 2 running backs in those back-to-backs and one of them being White, and I'm happy with that.
Right,
but if I took a running back before that in a round, I would not be sitting there looking to get White. I agree with you.
That's my argument. As like if I'm drafting him in the 5th round value as my 3rd running back, then I'm not I'd rather wait.
You're not getting value at overall value in your draft is what I'm saying. I agree with you. You're just going stacking running back heavy.
Right.
Let's talk about the wide receiver group here. We don't have to go into too much detail because we know Mike Evans is Mike Evans, future Hall of Famer. Guy has the most 1,000-yard seasons in a row. Yes, it's helped him that he has a 17th game to try and do it on, but he's still doing it.
Yep.
Chris Godwin is supposedly moving back to the slot where he is probably his best. And if you go back and look at some of the seasons he's had best, I mean, he was wide receiver 2 in 2019. He was wide receiver 19 in 2021. When he plays from the slot, he is not only a touchdown machine, his yards per target go up as well, and his yards per reception go up as well. So I expect better things out of Godwin this year, and you can get him cheap, on the cheap. McMillan out of Washington is going to give another outside value, and that's the reason why Godwin should be moving to the slot. So I think I'm willing to take a shot in best ball on any of this wide receiver group. In Dynasty, I want McMillan because eventually Mike Evans' career is going to be up, and this could be the next outside wide receiver there. I'm willing to take a shot in redraft on any of the 3 of them. So the thing about the Tampa Bay Bucks, and I want to put this out here, every position out there, because including Cade Otton, who is fantastic as a tight end plug and play, I call this team the Tampa Bay floor. Because these guys all have a high floor. You're not buying any of these guys because of their ceiling. Because, yeah, Evans has a ceiling here and there, but those are flashes. His consistency is at his floor. These guys all have floor potential, from the quarterback to the running back to the wide receiver, and even the tight end group. You can consider Otton a good, solid floor as a plug-and-play guy. So you shouldn't be drafting these guys to draft on their ceiling. You're drafting them because you need somebody in your lineup that you can guarantee is going to get you X points per week, and this is the team that has people across the board to do that.
Yeah, I think that they have a really interesting value system because, like, I agree with what you said with them all having the floor on that, but you have 3 basically tiers of wide receiver on this team. You have Evans in the second. You have Godwin that's probably going in like the 8th or the 9th, and then you have McMillan that you can get later on.
Late rookie.
So if you miss on Godwin and Evans, you can always get McMillan late. If you miss on, you can go and tag team both of them, if you and say, I'm going to get McMillan in case there's an injury. Like there's value all over the draft with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I've been pretty much on all my best ball teams that I've already drafted, all the mocks. And in my redrafts, I haven't really drafted a lot of Buccaneers, but I think on every one of my best ball team, I have at least one Buccaneer.
Yeah, in my redrafts, I'm not.
Cade on the tight end position is one I'm not really touching.
No, but again, this is a guy that's a bye week plug and play, and he's also
not someone you're drafting.
You're picking him up off waivers.
Yeah,
but he gives you a floor and has those touchdown games that's like, man, like I should just hold him on my bench. Mid-season you pick him up. I'm just going to hold him on my bench. But outside, well, it depends on who you drafted. Outside of that, I am saying, though, that the wide receiver group in terms of Godwin and Evans, great floor. Baker, great floor. Rachaad White, floor. Like volume and touches there. This team scores points. They've given up a lot of points. And so
even
they have
better.
to continue to score points, which is why I like that. And I don't think that they've increased their defense that dramatically to make them be a lockdown defense where they're going to just coast and try and drop the clock down. Baker likes to go for gold, and that's the other thing that helps too as well. Like he likes to go for the deep ball. He likes the big ball play and get them in the area where Rachaad White runs it in. Baker plugs it in. He throws another touchdown here to Godwin over the middle. Like that type of stuff you're going to see, which is why this team is not exciting. But in fantasy, they get the job done for you.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like I don't care about exciting. I care about what kind of work you're putting out there. And every one of these guys from the level like I said, even going from Baker and getting him as a backup role, Rachaad White as a starter, I have questions on all of them, but all of them I'm willing to put value on.
Yeah.
And you're talking about even Bucky Irving late as like a late round flyer. I wouldn't mind throwing a flyer at him.
Oh, I'd absolutely take a flyer on him because we saw what Lenny and White, they both had value
right.
a couple of years ago when they were both together. They both couldn't run the ball with that offensive line, but they both had value.
Right. So, and I think that's where a lot of these guys I'm not afraid to draft, but depending on where I'm getting them and who else is there and how my team is constructed already. Mike Evans is probably the guy I've loved drafting the most, obviously, because I think his value is just really good at the tail end of the second round, especially if I'm an early drafter, if I'm that 1 to 4 pick and he falls into the second round. To me, I would absolutely just smash the button on him because it's great value.
Well, here's the thing too. You look at the Bucs and you match them player for player and position for position. You will find yourself picking their wide receiver 1 or their wide receiver 2 or the running back over top of the other. I mean, you match them up with the Giants, and I'm just going to say this because I'm a Giants fan. I'm taking Baker over Jones. I'm taking Evans over Neighbors. I'm taking Godwin over whoever you want to plug in at their wide receiver 2. I'm taking White over Singletary. Like, across the board, these guys are going to give you better value than some of these names that people are trying to take stabs at you're supposed to get great output from. So, and I think you could say that about other teams too in this league. I mean, we do it, not the Jets.
Taking every Jet over.
But you can take it over top of Carolina. You could you could even argue for some of these other divisions too as well that you have better opportunity at these positions.
Well, I even said it. I'm taking Evans over Olave. I'm taking Evans over Drake London.
Well, look, how about we just talked about the Jaguars. You're taking Evans over top of their wide receiver 1 there. Which, you're taking Godwin probably over their wide receiver 2 there.
I'm taking Trevor Lawrence over Baker.
See, I could argue either way, but you can make the argument and sway me. But I think Baker's consistency is what I like more than Trevor Lawrence.
I'm more excited about Brian Thomas than
McMillan.
Than McMillan or Godwin.
Yeah, you are.
I'm taking Etienne over Rachaad White.
Over Rachaad White,
but I'm taking Engram over Otten.
Yeah, but you look at teams like that, you can still make arguments about some of the pieces because of what they bring to the table.
It's because Evans is on the team.
Yeah, I guess you take Evans out of the equation, it changes Baker, but he's on the team. You can't take him out of the equation.
I'm
not taking that with a grain of salt just because Evans is on the team.
Yeah. He's the guy that I want. Rachaad White's the guy that I want. Godwin, depending on where players are around him, like, again, I'd rather take a shot on a rookie where I'm drafting him. I'd rather take a shot on Brian Thomas. I'd rather take a shot on a rookie quarterback right there, or where Godwin's going.
Yeah, what was it? Godwin's last year. Godwin's coming off the ACL from the year before. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's a year removed. That I like. If he moves to the slot, he's more effective in the slot than he had been outside.
I'm not arguing that.
No. I'm just saying. To me, if you're buying Godwin at his value, you're buying what he could be out of the slot just as much as you're buying the value of what a rookie could be.
He's going around like Ridley and Hopkins. Who are you taking over?
Oh, I'm taking Ridley over him.
Right.
But that's because
taking Hopkins over him.
Yeah, I'd probably take up. But that's because I think the two of them are going to be on a higher volume passing offense.
Right. So
Tampa Bay was a very high volume passing offense last year.
But I'm taking those guys over him.
Yeah, I'll take him over him.
Over Godwin.
Yeah, I would. But I wouldn't be surprised if Godwin finished above one of those guys though, because of the opportunity.
Sure, I wouldn't be surprised either. But like, I'm still where I'm drafting and valuing. Like, that's from a team construction.
Well, both you and I are expecting big things from like that Tennessee passing offense there.
Right.
But am I taking Godwin? Are you taking Godwin over top of, the number 2 in? Are you taking over Gabe Davis? Are you taking him over top of?
No.
So you're taking Gabe Davis over him?
No. I'm taking Godwin over. But Brian Thomas is the number 2. There.
Well, yeah, you're taking it. Well,
and I said I would take him over.
2. Yeah. So anyway,